Evil Dead and the Army of Darkness are some of my favorite movies in the world. The Book of the Dead was read and it summoned great demons. Ashley J. Williams fought against these monsters by cutting off his own hand and attaching a chainsaw to it. The Deadites in the end won, sending them and Ash into a medieval past where he continued his battle against the Deadites. Upon winning the battle, he came back to the present where the comic series started. He discovered that he read the words wrong and teamed up with an old wizard to correct his mistake. After fighting his own evil version again, he eventually read the words again and sent everything back to where it belongs, except he missed one more thing. He was supposed to throw the book into the portal so that all of this would be sealed and done with. At the end of the story, we discovered that he didn't do that and the Book of the Dead was left in the sand. Now this is Comicstorian. I create audio dramas of your favorite comic books, leaving out enough that there is still something for you to collect, be it extra plot, context, or artwork. We make alterations for copyright purposes, and highly encourage you going to your local comic book store or digital retailer to start and continue your collection. Also, check out Evil Dead the Game, a 4v1 horror title that has one demon basically playing Dungeon Master to 4 survivors. You control hordes of Deadites trying to prevent the heroes from winning, or you can join the heroes fighting against the demons. I've had a blast playing this game, almost nightly for the last 3 months with the team. And it's honestly why we even started reading the Evil Dead comic books to start with, because it reminded me these exist and I never read them. I actually got to meet with the Evil Dead the Game team, where they helped me get Bruce Campbell's signature on an art book, so I said I would mention the game in the next video. So here we are, the game that I play almost every single night. Now let's get to the story. Army of Darkness, Shop Till You Drop. The S-Mart building. Night. Ash sighs as he punches in his time card. The speaker's squawking, and Mr. Smart orders him to report to his office. Damn, late again. Ash sighs, heading into the office, quickly filling in Mr. Smart on how he had to destroy the Necronomicon by heading to Egypt. He had to fight against the Deadite hordes, and that's why he had to take all of the guns and the ammo that he did. The man smiles at him as he reaches for a book on his shelf. I understand, Ashley. You're one of my favorite employees. He thumbs through the book, explaining that Ash will still have to pay for what he took. It's really not that bad. We'll just garnish your wages for a few short years and take care of this little bit of company business, he says, with Ash frowning as he stares at the long list of things that he took. He doesn't notice the sweat that's begun to drip from Smart's face. After Ash heads out, Smart slams the door, unable to control his transformation any longer. Ashley, join us! Ash moves through the store, muttering to himself, unaware that people are beginning to transform behind him. But he stops when he recognizes his girlfriend's backside. Well, hey there, milady, he tells Sheila as he walks over, and she smiles at him. At the perfumes counter, Mindy isn't happy that Sheila is taking all of Ash's attention. Meanwhile, Iggy and Buck are watching, with Iggy complaining, trying to figure out why such an oaf always gets all of the girls. Ash walks over to them, asking if they've noticed anything strange going on, and Iggy sighs. What? Like maybe somebody found an ancient demonic text, read the passages, and opened up the gateway to hell right here in the department store? Come on! Ash doesn't notice that he's being sarcastic. Yeah, kinda like that, but... As we look into the past, we see where the Book of the Dead sits in the desert sands where Ash left it. Having forgotten to throw it back through the time portal, a scorpion scuttles by and the book slams shut, devouring it and taking its form, crawling its way across the desert. Finding a hotel, discovering Mr. Smart in a tanning bed, crawling into his bag. The book then stabs him in the hand, hitching a ride in his body all the way back to the States. Yeah, right. It's not like the damned thing just hitchhiked in someone's luggage and found its way back here. Thanks, Iggy. Ash turns as another beautiful customer comes walking up to him. But something has begun to race up the aisles. A roaring moan echoing through the store. What the hell? Ash says as he turns and the building begins to shake around them. He turns back and the woman has turned, floating in the air, her head cocked at a horrific angle. We are the things that were and shall be again! She bellows at them, lashing out, knocking Ash away. She turns, grabbing another one, but Ash is already back on his feet. Yo, skivvy skank! He shouts as he throws a toaster at her. He grabs the cord, pulling it back, motioning her forward. Let's dance. Her claws lashing out, cutting through the appliance, but Ash turns, grabbing some knives, throwing them at her. The blades stab into her, but she doesn't seem to notice, with her arms growing longer and grabbing him, pulling him forward so that she can eat him. Give me some sugar, baby! She cackles, but her head suddenly explodes as Ash looks up to see Buck with a large revolver. You don't happen to have another pea shooter, do you? Ash asks him, and the old man smiles, pulling apart his shirt, revealing his body armor and small arsenal. Sure as hell do. I spent 10 years at the post office. I'm prepared for these sort of possibilities. Ash smiles as he's handed a shotgun and an Uzi. Groovy. He turns to the others. Let's go, we gotta get the girls. He turns back to see the store is now overwhelmed with the Deadites, and he immediately turns, rushing towards the doors. The exit, quick! He shouts, but Iggy points to the front of the store, which morphs into a large demonic face. Join us! S-Smart growls at them. The ground begins to ripple as the store comes to life. Damn, we're not getting out that way. Ash shouts, and Buck points over his shoulder, telling them that the store's cellar is like a bomb shelter. I don't have much luck with cellars, Ash tells him, but no one is aware that Iggy keeps rubbing his hand where he accidentally touched some demonic blood. The store begins to roar again, and Ash begins to run. What the hell? Come on, kids! Let's find the basement. He shouts over his shoulder, and Iggy runs to catch up. Wait for me! His hand suddenly going green, with an eye and a mouth opening up in the palm. The trio fight through the store with Buck and Ash's weapons thundering as they put down the Deadites. Attention S-Smart shoppers! Buy one buckshot blast, get one free! Ash shouts as they round a corner, and Ash stops short, his eyes widening as he walks towards the display. Tears spring to his eyes as the overhead lights seem to shine on the most beautiful chainsaw he's ever seen. It's the Sapmaster 3000, holy grail of chainsaws. It's got titanium casing with a diamond-tipped chain and an electric trigger. He looks around for a moment before reaching out for the weapon. What the hell? We're gonna need it by the time that this is over, he says, and he pulls it from the stump, revving it up. Oh yeah, he says with a smile. Buck steps forward to admire it, but a shovel suddenly comes out, slamming into Ash's face. Iggy looks at them in shock, the shovel still in his evil hand. Stop it! Stop it! He shouts as his hand begins to swing the shovel into Buck's stomach. He looks at his hand, which smiles and winks at him. Shut up, geek! You're mine now, bitch! It says to him, but Ash is up again, cracking Iggy across the face, knocking him to the ground. He puts his boot onto the man's wrist, leaning down to look at the evil hand. Say there, what's red, dead, and all over? He says to the hand, and Ash leans back, aiming the shotgun. You. He pulls the trigger, Iggy screaming in pain before passing out. Luckily, Buck has a roll of duct tape, and Ash quickly gets to work binding the wound. He looks around for a moment, seeing something that will work great for the kid. In a few moments, he's slapping him in the face. Come on, get up, Stumpy! Ash shouts, and Iggy begins to stir, staring at his hand in shock. A tiny shrub pruner chainsaw is now attached to it. Sorry, it went bad, Ash says as a way of explaining shooting off Iggy's hand. But the S-Smart mascot is now possessed, leaping onto their backs with a knife. Ash whirls around, firing the chainsaw, ripping it apart. Shop smart! Shop S-Smart! Or I'll rip your soul out! The demon laughs as it keeps coming, leaping onto Buck's face, trying to kill him. But Ash manages to pull the creature off, burning it with a nearby barbecue flare. Sale's over, he says with a smile. They keep moving forward, unaware that something is moving along the shelves, and Ash suddenly trips on some ball bearings, landing hard on his back, twisting his head as a toolbox slams next to him. Ha! At the best you got? He shouts as the tiny demons are now running around the shelves. But his eyes widen as a hammer falls next, slamming into his groin. Anger fills him as he fires up the shotgun, ripping the tiny versions of him apart. He staggers to his feet, another group shooting paint in his eyes. Blinded, Ash staggers around, stepping on a rake, slamming it into his face. The world spins around him and he tumbles to the ground. Eventually, he opens up his eyes to see that he has been tied to the floor. Oh, not again. He groans, and Buck and Iggy are tied next to him. He looks at his friends. Buck, we gotta get loose. You don't want to know what's coming next, Ash warns him. But it's too late as the small versions of Ash leap off of the shelves, dropping into Buck and Iggy's mouths. But Ash struggles up, ripping through his bonds. Oh no, you don't. You're not giving me the Gulliver's Travels treatment again. He snaps, throwing the little versions of him away and helping his friends up. You okay, boys? He asks, and Buck nods, taking a drink from his flask. The sound of a screaming Deadite coming out of his stomach. But Iggy suddenly screams in pain as a second head begins to grow from his neck. What the hell are you? He shouts, and the second Iggy smiles at him. I'm you. You're a geek, Iggy. I'm suave, Iggy, he says, but Ash is suddenly there with the chainsaw, cutting through the second head, splattering them in blood as he kicks it away. Iggy is still screaming on the ground as Ash turns to Buck, wondering why a second Buck hasn't appeared. Don't know. Buck says with a shrug as he takes another drink, the Deadites screaming inside of him, and Ash smiles. He reaches for some X-Lax, nodding at the big man. We're gonna need to get him out of there. They motion to the nearby bathroom, and a few moments pass as they hear the sound of the Deadite hitting the toilet bowl water. Then, an echoing gunshot. Gave the little turtle an enema, Buck says as he comes out pulling up his pants. The trio begin to move, finally finding the door to the store's cellar, which looks old and evil. They move downstairs trying to remain quiet, but down in the boiler room they discover Mindy and Sheila. You abandoned us to the evil spirits. You left us to die. They begin to float in the air as the pipes around them come to life, reaching out and grasping the trio of heroes. Ash revs his chainsaw, cutting through the pipes as the boiler comes to life, preparing to eat Buck and Iggy. Ash leaps in to save them, but the wind begins to kick up in the basement, and he looks up as a portal opens. Smart, floating there with a Necronomicon in his hand. Smart, you bastard! It was you, wasn't it? You and the damned book! Ash shouts, and the man laughs. We've won! We've taken this world! Ash, you're fired! He says as the portal begins to suck Ash in. Tumbling through the portal, Ash begins to see a vast future city beneath him. Deca City 1, 2501 AD. Ash tumbles to the ground, looking up to see a group of zombies shuffling towards him. They begin to pile atop of him, but Ash lashes out, punching and kicking his way free. Get off my jimmies! He shouts, but the zombies are suddenly hit with an energy bolt, and Ash looks up to see several armored soldiers staring at them. Thanks for the assist, but I need to find my way back. Ash begins to state, but the soldiers aren't listening. It's a trick! He's obviously a dead un too. Take him down. The leader shouts, and Ash turns, starting to run. Energy blasts ripping through the walls behind him. Never fails! They dump you in another world, and the assholes are always the same! He shouts over his shoulder. Rounding a corner, he pulls his belt out of his pants, and he turns to whip it into his pursuer. He grabs the captain around her wrist, pulling her in tight and choking her. You boys just back off now or I'm gonna finish it! He shouts at the other soldiers, and he pulls the captain's mask off, revealing her pretty face. Well now, what do we have here? Hello there, little Miss Hot, he feigns to say. But she headbutts him in the nose, pushing him back, shocking him, until he falls to the ground, blacking out. He awakens in a lab with a robot leaning over his body. Where am I? Who the hell is that? He asks as if the robot can't hear him. The robot tries to explain hell to him, but Ash ignores it and gets to his feet, and he looks up to see the soldier standing nearby with an elderly man. I am Dr. Sagittarius Cadillac. This is my associate, Captain Ren Gray of Deca City, one military order. And you are? The scientist says, holding out his hand. Ash introduces himself and quickly begins to tell the doctor that he needs to find a way to go back in time. Cadillac explains to him that they have no way of sending anyone through time, and portals, such as the one that brought him here, are merely random. But doctor, what of the Necronomicon program? The robot asks him. Of course, the damned book. Where can I find it? Ash asks K8. The doctor explains to Ash that the Necronomicon program was from the second dark age of mankind and allowed the Armageddon of the 21st century that nearly wiped out the human race. That a wave of Deadites washed over the planet, but were eventually stopped by one hero. K8 tells him. He is known by many names, but most famously after his battle cry, come get some. Ash looks at them, explaining that he was that hero, that he's been fighting these creatures for some time. If you can find me this Necronomicon program, we can use it to send me back to my time to finish this. Cadillac nods, believing that he can. If you feel you must travel to the Undercity to find your destiny, so be it. Download the program that you find onto this disc and bring it here. It has the secrets that we seek, and we'll find a way to use them, he says to Ash as he hands him a disc. Ash quickly suits back up, with Cadillac coming forward and offering him a cyborg hand with several abilities. We have not needed such technology in many years, but given your quest, I thought it might be useful. And he also informs Ash that he will have to use the password KLA2VER at ANIK2 to activate the program or face against its security measures. I should have known. Don't you eggheads ever come up with something original? Ash asks. Ash journeys through the city, fighting his way through hordes of Deadites. Eventually, he arrives at the mainframe, cutting his way through the door with ease. Inside, he finds a computer that controls the Necronomicon. Placing the VR device on his head, he activates the program and puts the password in. Clam2 Burrito Nikto. Not gonna screw it up this time. Nikto is the last word, he says with a smile. But the room turns red and a skull appears on the screen. I entered your words! The cyborg Deadites begin to rise. We live again, they declare. and a program of evil Ash appears on the screen, reaching out and grabbing Ash and pulling him inside. "Time to die, chosen one," he says with glee. Ash looks down, now dressed in blue, sitting astride a motorcycle. "Great, now I'm in the damn computer," he sighs, and a course stretches before him, and evil Ash pulls up on his own motorcycle. "Come on, you pansy. Last one to the finish line is a rotting flesh bag," he says as he laughs and takes off. Ash races after him, swerving and firing as the evil Ash throws skulls at him that look like creatures trying to eat his face. He fires a missile from his cyborg hand, blowing up the red motorcycle, sending evil Ash spinning to the ground. Ash stops to survey his work, but the ground begins to ripple and cyborg Deadites begin to rise, evil Ash leading them. "We have languished far too long here, but now, thanks to your bumbling, the army of darkness is free again, and we will tear this world to pieces. Join us or face your doom," he shouts, and the Deadites reach for Ash, trying to pull him down with evil Ash laughing. "Welcome to the end game, Ash. It's dying time!" Ash begins to fall under a wave of Deadites, but he holds up his cyborg hand, sending out a shockwave that throws them all away. "Ring around the rosy, pocket full of kick-ass. Ash says, all fall down!" He shouts, but evil Ash is still there. "You can't win, Ash. We will crush your bones to dust before you reach the program," he shouts, but Ash reaches down, picking up a Deadite head, throwing it across the digital realm, smacking evil Ash in the face with it. He rushes forward, running towards the screen that says, "Break in case of apocalypse." He grabs his digital chainsaw, slamming it into the screen, shattering it. The Deadites all begin to scream as they're sucked into the void. "I'll be back! You can't escape!" evil Ash screams at him. But Ash is now back in the real world, pulling the headset off, rushing outside to find Captain Wren and her soldiers cutting a path through the Deadites. She swoops down, grabbing a hold of him, quickly bringing him back to Dr. Cadillac. Back in the lab, Ash hands over the disc, asking the doctor to work his magic. The Cadillac explains to him that Ash has awakened the Deadon Horde, that they now have arisen up to assault the city. But Ash grabs him, believing that if he goes back in time, he might be able to stop the Deadites and prevent this future from ever happening. Well, I suppose there's some legitimacy to that statement. "We should know if you succeeded almost immediately upon sending you back," Cadillac says. So the doctor quickly gets to work, building the machine and opening the portal for Ash, which sucks him back in, and he appears in the past. Cadillac and Wren both look at the screen, which asks them if they want to send Evil back in time as well. "Do you think that it would stop the Deadon's assault?" Wren asks, and Cadillac shrugs his shoulders. "Might be irresponsible, but what the hell," he says. The portal, meanwhile, opens up on the S-Mart parking lot, dropping Ash naked into a crater alongside his weapons. "You gotta be kidding me!" He sighs as he looks down at his naked body. Reaching out, he grabs the S-Mart sales banner, pulling it around him like a toga. "Fine, you can dock me for this too," he says, grabbing his weapons and starting forward. "Time to carve up some zombies." He stops, looking back at his car, with the engine roaring as he drives it through the front doors, firing his shotgun out the window. "Attention S-Mart shoppers! Half off sale in the whoop-ass department!" he shouts as he screeches to a stop. The zombies rush at him and Ash cuts his way through them, the chainsaw eating into the undead flesh, spraying blood all around them. The shotgun blaring as it takes chunks out of the hordes. He then quickly runs out of ammo and must hide from the creatures in the clothing department. But he stops, looking up at the display of Elvis clothing, and he quickly gets dressed, picking up his chainsaw once more. Thank you very much," he says to himself in the mirror, and then he hears Sheila screaming for help elsewhere in the store and he rushes to find her. But a blast rips through the wall and he jumps back, looking up in shock to see Iggy, Mindy, and Buck all taken over by Deadites. Plus, they've now got some added cyborg attachments for some reason. "What's the matter, Ash? Ain't you glad to see your old pals?" Iggy asks, and they open fire on him. But he leaps across the room, grabbing Mindy, whirling her around, using her beauty to distract the others. He then raises his cyborg hand, blasting their heads off. He looks over at his shredded friends, reaching down to pick up what's left of Buck's flask. "Damn, Buck. I'm sorry, old man," he says quietly. But the moment passes, and Ash rushes up the stairs to Mr. Smart's office. He breaks down the door, rushing inside. Well, the prodigal hero returns," Smart says from his place behind the desk. "Where's Sheila? What have you done with her?" Ash demands, but he jumps back as a possessed Sheila rears down from the ceiling over his head, reaching out, grabbing him by the throat, lifting him into the air. "You will suffer and burn before us!" she shouts, and Ash struggles as her grip tightens. "Sheila, love you, he gasps as she looks at him in shock, the demon drifting out of her body as they both fall to the floor. You love me? But Ash pushes her aside, ordering her to get down as Smart comes at them, his body transforming into the Scorpion. How do you do it? We have survived millions of years. We have feasted on the bones of gods. Our time has come, yet you return again and again to thwart us. Why won't you die? He bellows, reaching out, grabbing Ash by the neck with his pincers. But a portal opens up behind him and Sheila hits him with the Book of the Dead. Ash manages to pry himself free, rushing forward and sticking his cyborg fingers up Smart's nose, blasting him through the brain. The monster goes limp, and the portal sucks him in. Ash, how can these stop it? Sheila asks him, and Ash turns, seeing the book skitter across the ground. Maybe if we destroy the book, he shouts, grabbing the Necronomicon, stuffing Buck's flask into its mouth and kicking it across the room, letting it be sucked into the portal as he draws his shotgun and fires. When the smoke clears, the portal is gone, and the pieces of the book are fluttering in the air. It's over. Come on, Ash says as he helps Sheila to her feet. The two of them walk through the store, with those that Ash didn't kill becoming human once again. He looks around before pulling Sheila close to him. It's good to be the king. But unknown to him, little kid looks up at a screen. Dawn of the Deadites flashing across it as he reaches and picks up a controller. The story of Army of Darkness / Evil Dead in the comic book format is far from over. We've got a hack and slash crossover, a Xena crossover, a Marvel Zombies crossover, and it still has its own story to tell. So if you want to see more of this, give this video a like, share it with your friends, and let me know in the comments down below. Be like, Benny, I want to know what Ash is going to fight next. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I'll see you guys next time right here.